ranking all Ghostface from each category. Let's get into it. The strongest Ghostface. Roman Bridger, director, Scream 3, aka Sidney's brother. Roman stands out as Ghostface for many reasons. For starters, he is the only Ghostface to have worked alone. Not only is every kill in Scream 3 his handiwork, but Roman is kind of in the first movie, as he takes credit for mentoring Billy and Stu and grooming them into the young serial killers they were. That means that he could be behind every massacre in the Scream franchise, at least posthumously. He's obviously got the mastermind part down before he's even revealed as the fifth Ghostface, but his work through Scream 3 elevates him above the others. In the opening scene of Scream 3, Cotton Weary is driving through LA when he gets a call from a feminine voice. As Cotton is asked about his girlfriend, the voice quickly shifts back to the now iconic high-tech Ghostface filter. The filter seemingly has the ability to mimic any voice, as Roman uses it to imitate Cotton before killing both him and his girlfriend. Throughout the movie, Roman successfully immerses himself into ordinary life in Hollywood as a movie producer, and he's one that wouldn't really be suspected. This is especially the case as he appears to fall victim to Ghostface during the house party. Still, he manages to evade suspicion while acting completely alone and massacring his own movie stars. Perhaps he's most known for being Sidney's estranged half-brother, but he's also well known for being one of the few Ghostface killers smart enough to wear a bulletproof vest. Actually, he's the first to do it, so props to him. In terms of physical strength, Roman isn't much different from any other Ghostface, as Mickey, Charlie, and Stu each showed impressive physical abilities in their movies as the muscle supporting their brain. Roman's place as the strongest Ghostface is commonly acknowledged among the Scream fan base because of his intelligence and the fact that he had no partner in crime. He may not be a very well-liked character nor a beloved Ghostface, but objectively speaking, he's high up in the Ghostface rankings. Note, he also has the highest kill count. The most brutal Ghostface. Charlie Walker, Scream 4. Charlie Walker was the secondary antagonist of Scream 4 and the sixth, revealed Ghostface in the franchise. As a senior at Woodsboro High School, he was president of Woodsboro Cinema Club and ran Stab-a-thon from his sophomore year to his senior year. For 4 years, he had an unrequited romantic interest in Kirby Reed. Secretly, Charlie dated Kirby's best friend, Jill Roberts, who wanted vengeance against Trevor Sheldon for cheating on her, as well as coping with the jealousy towards her cousin, Sidney Prescott. They conspired to remake the original 1996 Woodsboro murders on its 15th anniversary, under the guise of being the remake version millennial counterparts to Randy and Sidney. Despite this, Jill had planned to betray and murder him in the end anyway, to become the true sole survivor. Despite his subservient nature, Charlie was the most ruthless Ghostface in costume. He is the first stab-fanatic Ghostface, followed by Richie Kirsch and Amber Freeman in the sequel. Though Charlie showed an appreciation for all 7 Stab films, rather than being an original film purist like his successors. Even though he was just a pawn in Jill's master plan to fame and success. You can't deny how skilled of a killer Charlie really was. He had it all, the stealth, the cover, the quick pace. But more importantly, he had the brutal beast inside him. He has probably the most brutal kill in the franchise, with Olivia Morris. He pops out from the closet and goes to town on her stomach, throwing her onto the dresser and bed. When Sidney walks in the room, her insides are on the outside, literally. The craziest Ghostface. Mickey Altieri, Scream 2. Mickey had a desire to kill regardless of his situation. What made him take part in this particular set of killings, however, is what makes him interesting. Unlike all the others, Mickey wants to be caught and put on trial for his crimes, and he wants to use the motive of having been inspired by the movies. Keep in mind, his motive is not actually that the movies made him do it. His motive is wanting to be famous and stir up public controversy. This desire to be publicly acknowledged as a killer and get away with it was quite a weird but unique take that made him stand out in comparison to the other killers. It's funny how the most psychotic Ghostface has the best motive as well. The smartest Ghostface. Number 1. Roman Bridger. Roman is the most intelligent killer as he works alone, leaving no loose ends to tie up and eliminating the possibility of a partner having a change of heart. He also was the blueprint for every Ghostface, starting with Billy, but no one knew because he kept himself out of the picture until the third film. This choice led to one of the most shocking reveals in the franchise, but left it last on the Rotten Tomatoes ranking of Scream movies. However, his smartest choice was a bulletproof vest. Number 2. Mrs. Loomis. Billy Loomis clearly got his smarts from his mother, as she is one of the smartest Ghostfaces of all time with her well-thought-out plan that not only hid her identity for most of the film, but included an accomplice that was easy to write off as the sole killer. Mrs. Loomis took numerous measures to involve herself with Sidney and her friends so that she could get revenge for her son's death. Mrs. Loomis is the only killer to outsource her partner as someone with whom she had no prior relationship. Number 3. Billy Loomis. Billy Loomis made horror fans realize that sometimes the real monsters are humans with his sadistic manipulation of everyone, including his so-called best friend and girlfriend, in the name of revenge. Billy's master plan rewrote the horror genre as he had motives beyond killing at random. Each kill symbolized something, whether leaving no witnesses or taking down the people who had wronged him earlier in his life. Billy showed a lot of red flags throughout the movie that made fans wonder if he was the killer, but faking his death made the reveal much more shocking. I know I said the most, but I have 3. That's because each person has their own unique portrayal of genius behavior. The most iconic Ghostface. This comes in the form of a trio again: mom, son, and friend. Billy Loomis and Stu Macher Scream, Mrs. Loomis, Scream 2. Number 1. Billy Loomis. "You're telling me that's not a killer?" said Randy, as he suspected right away that Billy Loomis, Skeet Ulrich, was the original Ghostface killer in Scream. Not only does Billy have the most iconic and scariest lines, "Movies don't create psychos, movies make psychos more creative," of the entire franchise, but he's also the most ferocious of the killers. Billy's motives came from pure anger with the result of his father cheating on his mother with Sidney's mother, causing his parents' marriage to fall apart, and his mother to abandon Billy. We later find out in Scream 3 that Roman had been orchestrating the entire thing, using Billy as his pawn. Billy is a master manipulator as well, pressuring Stu to do whatever he wants, and tricking Sidney into sleeping with him just minutes before revealing himself as the killer. Billy plans to frame Sidney's father as the killer and leave himself and Stu for dead, but his plan goes awry when Gale and Sidney team up to confuse the two killers, and Sidney eventually puts a bullet in his skull, right after Randy predicts the killer's final scare. Number 2. Stu Macher, Matthew Lillard, is one of the most likable characters to reveal himself as a killer, as well as the most chaotic. In Scream, Stu has no motive for his kills, as he chalks them all up to the peer pressure from Billy Loomis. Unlike a lot of the other killers, Stu's reveal was one of the most shocking as he can turn his kill mode personality on and off, posing as a fun-loving, silly, and personable person, and even protector to those he's close to. Stu dies, or does he, when weakened from several stabs from Billy, in an attempt to cover up their crimes, followed by Sidney dropping a television on his head. Lillard's is one of the most iconic performances of the franchise. Number 3. Mrs. Loomis, Laurie Metcalf, belongs near the top for having the best motive and strategy: pure revenge. Sidney killed her only son in the ending events of the first Scream film. Her son had inherited her psychopathic behavior as she was just as quick to murder people as he was. By the events of Scream 2, her husband had slept with Sidney's mother, resulting in divorce, and her son had been killed. After feeling she had nothing to live for, Mrs. Loomis found Mickey Altieri in a chat room and partnered up with him to infiltrate Sidney's life. She even attempts to manipulate accused killer Cotton Weary, Liev Schreiber, to kill Sidney after Mickey dies. She fails when Cotton supports Sidney, and after a scuffle, Sidney puts a bullet in her head.